Hello, everyone. Today we are having in this session, as you know, Infinity Global is a platform where we help students and young adults. So, in today's session, we are having with us, we are pleased, and I would like to say thanks to her, Nosheen Qureshi. She is an IT professional with 27 years of experience as a manager. She is currently the head of IT for the provincial agency working in Canada. Nosheen Qureshi manages the IT department with a large team of diverse skill sets, managing the IT infrastructure, cybersecurity, application development, and the IT service desk functions. I'm honored. Today, she'll be answering some questions related to interview and interview preparation. So, first of all, thank you so much that you are giving us the precious time. So, my first question to you is, ma'am, what about as you conducted a lot of interviews? So, what is the first thing you notice in an employee or an interviewee, you may say?
Thank you, Anam. And it's my pleasure to give some advice and share some of my experience. So as a manager, since I do a fair bit of hiring, what I look for as a first thing, like when an employee starts, the more noticeable things are their work ethics, their engagement level. And what I mean by engagement level is their level of participation, their level of teamwork, their level of independent work, as well as work that is integrated with others. So those are some of the first traits that are more noticeable in a new employee.
Okay. My next question for you is that what's the most important or maybe basic trait you want in an employee, or you maybe see an employee first?
So the first, okay, so there's two different questions. So if I have to pick one skill that is the most important in an employee for me, very basic one, I would say it's integrity and it's their honesty. It may vary from manager to manager. So depending on the kind of manager you are and the kind of, person you are, you may be looking for different traits. But for me, and I think for most employers, the most important, trait that they look for is integrity. So if you're an employee who is dependable, who is, that we understand that you would come forward, with your best sincere advice, when we're looking for it, or when you're working with others, or you're working with integrity and with honesty, to me that's a really important trait, and I believe most employers would look for something like that. Other things that you look for in an employee, obviously there's a number of skills that you look for, but the other traits that an employer would look for in an employee is that they're dependable, so when something's assigned to them, that they take responsibility for it. And that doesn't mean that they don't make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. What integrity means is when you make a mistake, that you own up to it, that you understand it, you own up to it, and you work to correct it. So, any employer who is looking for a workforce that is reliable will always make room for mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. But owning up to them, understanding them, working to correct them, those are the traits that a employer who has a long-term goal to keep an employee employed would look for.
Wonderful answer. My next question is related to interview preparation, our segment which we usually teach the students. And the question is, what are the most asked questions in an interview?
So because I hire mostly for IT, I look for technical skills and soft skills. So typically, when it comes to technical skills, we usually assess them by a written exam, right? So we can ask the technical questions in a written exam where employees are given some time to prepare and respond to them. And that is a good way of assessing their technical skills. Sometimes we will ask for, interview questions with technical skills too. But mostly what we assess in an interview is soft skills. So for example, when I would prepare for an interview myself, or I'm, preparing questions for an interview, I would focus on, usually our first question is about their experience. So we get to know a little bit more about their resume. So it's good to come prepared for an interview, right? So if you prepare and to how you're going to speak about your experience, how you've listed it in your resume, that is a good way of preparing for it. So they'll ask you, so, you were, when you were working, at this company from this year to year, tell us a little bit more about what you did. So come prepared with those kind of questions where you can speak to your experience, because your resume is only a couple of pages, and you can elaborate on that. The other skills we would look for in an interview is other soft skills that we would look for is things like teamwork. And usually we ask questions, typically employers will ask questions which are example based, right? So they would typically start with, tell us about an experience, or tell us about a time when you had a conflict with your superior, with your supervisor, and how did you handle it? So coming prepared, thinking of those examples from real life examples and coming prepared is a really good idea, because then you can speak to those examples, saying, when I had a conflict, and just saying something like, I never have conflicts, I always get along with people, are usually not good answers. What employers or what managers like myself are looking for is that you understand what a conflict is. You understand everybody has conflicts, but you are able to explain how you were able to handle it, right? The other skills we're looking for is like teamwork. So we would ask questions about, based on, circumstances about teamwork. Or we can give a scenario saying, in a scenario like this, how would you handle this situation? So sometimes you have to think on your feet, but it's good to come prepared with some of those examples and scenarios in your mind. Analytical and problem-solving skills are also something we assess with interview questions. So skills like, we would present, or we will ask for an example-based question response, right? Saying, tell us a time about when you had a problem and, you had a limited time to resolve it, and how did you handle it? How did you overcome the problem? What challenges did you face? So those kind of things are good, because it's a little bit hard to think of examples, and it's perfectly okay to say it in an interview. I would need to pause and think for an example so that I can provide you. So just give me a moment, and then you can take your notes and say, you know what, I should talk about that one. And then so think of an example based on your real life scenarios, and then use that as an example. So problem solving skills, analytical skills, teamwork, conflict management, those are the kind of skills that we look for, because those are essential to any position, any workplace. And like I said, the technical skills that are not soft skills, we assess sort of differently. It depends on your profession, right? That what technical skills we be.
Next question is, I guess little bit this question is different as compared to the previous questions, because the questions say, does the body language of the interviewee has an impact of an interviewer? Because in especially in, you could say, in Pakistan, we believe that the body language has a greater impact on the overall result of your interview, or maybe job interview, or university interview, or maybe immigration interview as well. So do you believe that this statement is right, that your body language has a greater impact on others?
Absolutely. So even when interviews used to be in person, and now a lot of them are virtual, body language still has a big impact. They're a little bit different when you are interviewing in person as opposed to if you're doing a virtual interview, but absolutely does have an impact. So the way you walk into the room, the way you present yourself, even if you're doing a virtual interview, if you look into the camera, you smile, you lean forward when you're responding, those kind of things do make an impression. Even if the interviewer is not looking for specific signs, they leave an impression, even if they're not specifically looking for those signs. So absolutely, body language is important. Walking in, sitting up straight, not slouching in your chair, looking at the interview with intent, with you lean in to listen to them, you think, and you pause before you respond. All those things definitely make an impression. So I would say definitely yes. How you present yourself is important, and body language is a part of how you present yourself.
Okay, so now we are heading towards our last question. As you have been conducting a lot of interviews, so my last question for you would be that what one advice you would like to give to youngsters or to young interviewee who might be appearing first time in their interviews?
My first advice would be prepare. Come prepared to the interview. Your interviewer can tell when you've come prepared or you've just walked in. Coming prepared meaning understanding what the job is and reading it over and over again, thinking of how your experience fits into it. And coming prepared also means doing a little bit of research on the company. You have access to the internet. You can look them up. You can understand what the company, what business they're in. You can come prepared with questions you can ask, because typically at the end of an interview, we'll always say, do you have any questions for us? Is there anything else you'd like to add? So come prepared with those add-ons, saying, yes, I'd like to add this or that, or, I have these questions for you. So I think preparing for an interview, coming on time, is definitely something which is noticeable, makes a different impression. It makes, if there's two candidates who answer the questions equally, but you show that you have come prepared, where you've spent some time preparing and coming prepared, as in, being on time and looking attentive, looking interested, it makes a big impression. So prepare for the interview, show that you're prepared. If you tend to get nervous during interviews, do what you have to come, a little bit more relaxed, and that makes a difference.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. These answers have helped a lot for all of us. And I guess we'll be learning a lot from your experience. Thank you so much once again that you have scheduled the meeting with us from your busy schedule. Thank you so much once again.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. All the best to you.